Have you ever felt completely swamped, like you're juggling too many balls and one more thing might just make them all come crashing down? Or perhaps you've experienced a deeper, more pervasive sense of exhaustion, where the very thought of facing another day feels like climbing an impossible mountain? Most of us have, at some point, and it's common for us to label these feelings simply as stress. But what if what you're experiencing isn't just stress, but something more chronic, more profound, a state of complete depletion known as burnout? The two terms are often used interchangeably in our daily conversations, almost as synonyms, yet they represent fundamentally distinct psychological states with very different implications for our well-being and our lives. Understanding the difference early on isn't just an academic exercise, it's a critical tool for protecting your mental, emotional, and physical health. It allows us to intervene sooner, to address the root causes, and to find the right path back to balance and vitality. Today, we're going to explore what sets stress and burnout apart, how to recognize the early signs of each, and why this distinction matters now more than ever. Let's begin by establishing a clear foundation. Stress, at its core, is the body's natural and often short-term response to perceived threats or challenges. Think of it as your internal alarm system. When a deadline looms, traffic jams, or you have a disagreement with a loved one, your body releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. This is designed to help you focus, react, and overcome the challenge. You might feel anxious, irritable, your heart might race a little, and you might lose some sleep. It's a temporary state, typically resolving once the stressor is gone. It's like sprinting a short distance. It's intense, but you recover. Burnout, however, is a different beast entirely. It's not a sprint. It's more like running a marathon without proper training or sufficient rest, until you hit a wall and can't take another step. Burnout is a chronic state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that results from prolonged and unmanaged stress. It signifies a much deeper depletion of your resources. This crucial distinction isn't new. It was first described by psychologist Herbert Freudenberger in 1974. Later, pioneering researcher Christina Maslach formally defined it and developed the widely used Maslach Burnout Inventory. Its significance has been underscored globally. In 2019, the World Health Organization, or WHO, officially classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon in its ICD-11, recognizing it as a syndrome rather than a medical condition, yet highlighting its critical impact on well-being and productivity. This classification highlights that it's not merely a personal failing, but often a response to challenging environments. The increasing relevance of stress and burnout in our modern society is undeniable. Organizations like the American Psychological Association and Mental Health UK consistently report on the rising numbers of people experiencing these states. The constant demands of work, technology that keeps us perpetually connected, and the pressures of daily life contribute to a landscape where distinguishing between temporary stress and chronic burnout has become vital. So, how do they actually look and feel different in our lives? Let's break down the key manifestations. First, consider duration. Stress is generally temporary. The deadline passes, the argument resolves, and you return to your baseline. Burnout, though, is a long-term, persistent state. It doesn't disappear when the workday ends or the weekend arrives. It lingers, a constant shadow.
Then, think about your emotional response. When stressed, you might feel anxious, worried, or irritable. You're still engaged, even if uncomfortably so. With burnout, the emotions are far more profound. You might feel a deep detachment, cynicism, a sense of apathy towards things you once cared about, and even hopelessness. It's not just feeling bad, it's feeling nothing or feeling utterly drained of care. Then, observe your engagement levels. A stressed individual, despite the pressure, might still be engaged and motivated to overcome the challenge. They're still trying to meet expectations. Someone experiencing burnout, however, often feels profoundly disengaged, ineffective, and loses interest in activities they once enjoyed, including their work. The spark is gone. Finally, the physical symptoms also diverge. Stress can cause headaches, muscle tension, digestive issues, and maybe a few sleepless nights. These are your body's urgent alerts. Burnout leads to more severe and chronic physical symptoms, including pervasive chronic fatigue that sleep doesn't resolve, a lowered immune system leading to frequent illness, and even increased risk of cardiovascular disease. It's as if your body has just given up. Think of it this way. Stress might be that frantic feeling when you can't find your keys and you're late for an appointment. You're wired, maybe a little angry, but you'll calm down once they're found. Burnout is when you've been looking for your keys every single day for months, and now you just stare blankly at the door, unable to even care if you get to your appointment or not. The causes also differ. Stress often arises from immediate challenges, a tight deadline, a difficult client, an unexpected bill. Burnout, on the other hand, stems from prolonged exposure to chronic stressors, particularly in the workplace. Factors like feeling undervalued, having a lack of control over your tasks, unrealistic workloads, or a significant mismatch between your job demands and your personal values can all contribute. But it's important to remember that burnout isn't exclusively work-related. It can also result from other non-work chronic pressures, like caring for a sick family member over a long period. So, how can we spot these conditions in their early stages, before they fully take hold? Early signs of stress might include increased anxiety or irritability, difficulties falling or staying asleep, changes in appetite, either eating more or less, noticeable muscle tension, and a general feeling of being overwhelmed by tasks that once seemed manageable. You might say things like, "I have too much to do," or "I can't seem to relax." Early signs of burnout are more insidious. You might notice emotional exhaustion, a deep weariness that doesn't improve with rest. You may start to experience increased mental distance from your job or responsibilities, viewing them with negativity or cynicism. You might feel a reduced professional efficacy, a sense that you're just not good enough anymore, or that your efforts don't make a difference. Early stages can also involve overcommitment, pushing yourself harder and harder, while subtle emotional and behavioral shifts begin to appear, alongside those persistent physical indicators like chronic fatigue and declining performance. It's not just feeling overwhelmed, it's feeling empty. Burnout often progresses through gradual stages. It might start with initial enthusiasm for a task or role, slowly giving way to increasing stress, then a neglect of personal needs and self-care. This can lead to social withdrawal, and eventually a profound sense of emptiness and lack of meaning. It's a slow erosion of spirit and energy.
The understanding of stress and burnout has been significantly shaped by dedicated researchers and experts. Beyond the foundational work of Christina Maslach and Herbert Freudenberger, people like Michael P. Leiter, co-author of The Burnout Challenge, continue to advance our knowledge. Clinicians like Julian Schroeder and medical doctors such as Lisa McLean from Henry Ford Health provide crucial insights into recognizing and addressing these conditions in practical settings. Organizations play a critical role too. The World Health Organization, as we discussed, has given burnout global recognition. The American Psychological Association regularly conducts research and public education campaigns. Mental Health UK offers vital resources and support. And the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH within the CDC, identifies risk factors, particularly in high-stress professions like healthcare. Now, while much is known, there are ongoing discussions and even some debates in the field. One significant point of discussion revolves around burnout's diagnostic status. The WHO's classification as an occupational phenomenon, rather than a standalone medical condition, means it's not something a doctor can formally diagnose, like depression. While burnout undeniably increases the risk of mental health conditions like depression and anxiety, its distinct diagnostic status and the overlap of its symptoms with other mental health challenges create complexities for clinicians and individuals seeking help. Another debate centers on simply defining and measuring burnout. Despite Maslach's widely accepted three-dimensional definition, emotional exhaustion, depersonalization or cynicism, and reduced personal accomplishment, the precise characterization of burnout remains a topic of ongoing discussion. The terms frequent in formal use in everyday language, often to describe any kind of stress, further blurs its specific meaning and can hinder early, accurate recognition. Finally, there's a crucial public question about the focus of interventions. The WHO specifically links burnout to chronic workplace stress. Some experts question whether the focus should broaden to include other significant life stressors, given that job demands alone don't always fully predict burnout. A key question is whether emphasizing individual resilience and coping mechanisms, while valuable, inadvertently distracts from addressing the systemic, organizational, and societal factors that contribute to chronic stress and burnout. This debate asks whether we're placing too much burden solely on the individual, rather than looking at the systems that create the pressure. The ongoing research and these discussions highlight a continuous, concerted effort to better understand and identify burnout. Future directions will likely involve refining its diagnostic criteria, exploring its relationship with other mental health conditions, and, importantly, finding a balance between personal coping strategies and significant structural changes in workplaces and society at large. Both are vital to mitigate chronic stress and prevent burnout on a wider scale. So, what does this mean for you right now? It means cultivating self-awareness. Take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you just feeling overwhelmed by a temporary surge of demands? Or are you experiencing a deeper, more persistent sense of exhaustion, detachment, and inefficacy that doesn't seem to lift? If you recognize the signs of chronic exhaustion, cynicism, and a feeling of professional ineffectiveness, don't dismiss it as just stress. Acknowledge it. It's an important signal from your mind and body. This early recognition is your first and most powerful step towards prevention and recovery.
Don't hesitate to seek support. This could mean talking to a trusted friend or family member, a manager you trust, or a mental health professional. Remember, understanding the difference between stress and burnout isn't about finding blame. It's about gaining clarity and empowering yourself to take action. By recognizing these distinct states early, you can take meaningful steps to protect your well-being, reclaim your energy, and rebuild your connection to what truly matters.